promised us a pizza party, and then he goes on and locks my team. I mean, actions speak louder than words.
I don't love projections. Sometimes I think they're dumb. I don't love draft grades. I think draft grades are stupid a lot of the time. Speaking of, we might need to do some draft grades later.
And now, for the greatest fantasy football podcast this side of Nevada, hosted by the biggest of chickens, Joe, and Kyle Milby, it's the That's My Quarterback podcast, sponsored by Richland Chevrolet.
It's my quarterback.
All right. What's up, boys? What a crazy Sunday. And an insane Sunday night football to end it with. So we got a lot to unpack here. This is a special episode. I didn't even text Joe. I feel like I just needed to get this out while it was fresh in my mind. Obviously, a lot happened. Those of you that were active in the chat know. Some of you might wake up tomorrow to a surprise. Jeff, Commissioner, where are you at, buddy? Anyways, let's get started. So, here's why we're doing a special episode, because Keith and I are in the midst of, it's not over yet, it's not close to being over. It's going to be determined tomorrow night, but we are in the midst of what could be the matchup of the year so far. And if you've been living under a rock since this podcast was created, then you might be clueless here, but I think most of us know what all is behind this. First of all, myself, I've been on this podcast. I've been pretty critical of Keith's moves, specifically when he kind of blew it up in the offseason. I was his number one critic. Even still, he was nice enough to make us a great intro, which, hey, second time that you're hearing the intro on the podcast. Thank you again, Keith. Anyways, I'm not going to get too distracted here. Yeah, so I was pretty critical in the offseason. Even went as far as to say that my bold prediction was that he was going to be in the toilet bowl along with his brother Brent at the end of the season. So yeah, a little bit harsh. But it's what I truly believed. He did make some crazy moves in the offseason that affected his team, I felt, negatively, very strongly negatively. So anyways, fast forward, Keith is 0-3, I'm 3-0. We're heading into a matchup today. But hold on, we need to get more backstory here. Don't want to rush. A little bit more backstory. So, Keith made a couple huge trades recently that have strengthened his team mightily. I even came out and said Keith is not, even though I have him 11th in my power rankings, he's not the 11th best team in the league. He's much better than that. However, he has been so unlucky. I've been joking that I can't move him from 11th because of his unluckiness. So, let's look at some of these trades, just so we can make sure we have it out here. He did make one with Joe, in which he gave up Marvin Harrison Jr., who's been a frustrating player for him. And let's see, can't remember who all he acquired. I know he acquired Garrett Wilson and some others. I'm going to try to pull it up here. But there was another trade he made recently, also with Leighton. Leighton's back. Baseball season not over quite yet, but apparently he's getting more into fantasy football now. He's making trades, his first trade since I don't know when. Maybe just first trade period that I can remember. I'm sure there's been another one. So let's see here. And Keith has renamed his team Haley Steinfeld's team. This is a live update. I'm just realizing this. And it's a picture of Haley Steinfeld in a Josh Allen jersey. All right. Respect, Keith, respect. All right. Here we go. Garrett Wilson. What was the trade for Garrett Wilson? We're going to pull it up. Okay. Joseph Munoz received Marvin Harrison Jr., who, by the way, did have one of his best games in a while the other night, caught a touchdown. Keith received Juwan Johnson, Saints tight end, Garrett Wilson, Jets receiver, and Cedric Tillman, Browns receiver. I thought this was a good trade for Keith. He got rid of a player that's been very inconsistent. And he got himself some much-needed depth, some much-needed players he can play in his flex spots. His flex spots were very weak, so I thought that was a good trade for him. And then he also went out and got himself Josh Jacobs, stud running back. He hadn't been quite his last year self the first 3 games, 14, 14, and 12. I mean, but we knew the breakout was coming. I mean, some of us knew the breakout was coming. So he acquired Josh Jacobs from Layton. Let's see, who did he give up? He did give up Romeo Doubs, 3 touchdowns tonight, which, I mean, that's a little crazy. We're not counting on Romeo to do that every week. That's more of a Amon-Ra St. Brown type thing. But Keith did acquire Josh Jacobs, gave up Juwan Johnson, who he had just recently acquired, Chuba Hubbard, Ramondre Stevenson, and Romeo Doubs. So I think overall that was another good trade that Keith made. Got himself another star. I mean, look at this team. Josh Allen, top 3 quarterback in fantasy. Saquon and Josh Jacobs, probably 2 top 5 fantasy running backs. Justin Jefferson, top 5 fantasy receiver. And then the rest of his team is looking a lot better than it was. I mean, he doesn't have Tyler Lockett in his starting flex spot anymore. I mean, his flex players didn't do great today. Butte, Tillman, Thornton caught a touchdown. That's all he does. And it's like 3 weeks in a row he caught a touchdown. And then Wilson's his other receiver. Obviously, Wilson can be an up and down player, but Keith's roster is looking a lot better. As of last week, he was 11th place, but I believe he's 6th or 7th in scoring. I think 6th. And after this week, we'll see if he moves to 1-3 or if he goes to 1-4. Either way, he's going to be right there on the brink of, I think, around 5th in scoring. So, yeah, I've joked he's been the unluckiest team in the league. He's expressed his frustration with his bad luck. And today, it really came to a boiling point. So, I think one of the reasons this was set up for him to become triggered, to become frustrated in the first place is a lot of my players today were playing in later games. So if we're looking at my lineup, not a lot of 10 a.m. games. Had a couple Thursday night guys who, hey, they didn't do great, you know. Walker got me 12, Smith and Jigba 13. Decent numbers, but both slightly below the projections. But in the afternoon slot, I had Lamar Jackson going, Kyron Williams, and who else? And Zay Flowers, and Puka Nacua. So I had 4 guys during the afternoon slot, and then 2 Sunday night players, Jake Ferguson and Javonte Williams. So already Keith got out to a big lead, obviously in most part because most of my guys hadn't played yet, and he did have more 10 a.m. guys than I did. He got a big game from Josh Allen in the morning. He got a big game from Justin Jefferson early in the morning. Lions defense got him 20 points. That was a 10 a.m. game. Barkley 17.4. Just an average game for him, but it's really solid points there for Keith. Even Kincaid was able to get a touchdown on his 1 catch. So yeah, I was in a pretty deep hole after the 10 a.m. games, like 50 points, but obviously most of my players hadn't played yet. So once you're ahead and you see that lead melt away, you can get a little frustrating. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that from playing fantasy football. A lot of times I don't even like to look at it. I'll just watch the games, and maybe look at it here and there, but I try not to look at it too much because sometimes I can get a little obsessive too over just checking it nonstop after every catch, every touchdown. How am I doing? Am I winning? Am I losing? Am I projected to win or lose? So yeah, I kind of like to just wait till the game's over in most cases, but sometimes I'm watching it closer than others. So anyways, afternoon games. Talking a little fast here. Afternoon games. Puka Nacua, he's been the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy this year, and he went ballistic, which really made up for a bad game that I got from Lamar Jackson, who, he seems to just be like 25 points plus every week. I feel like I'm spoiled, like I'm almost used to it at this point. And then today he struggled. And then I was thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get these garbage time points because he's going to have to come back against the Chiefs. He got some nice garbage time points last week against the Lions. But as I was watching another game, I see on my phone that Jackson is questionable and Cooper Rush is in the game. So that was not good news for me, but I did have Puka Nacua, the number 1 receiver currently in fantasy, go off for 36 points, 13 catches, 170, and a touchdown. Keith must have just been watching that game and seeing every single catch, because that's crazy. He is right. Stafford is just in love with throwing the Puka, and I love that because obviously I have my fantasy team. But insane game for him. 36 points. Kyren 10, Lamar 11, obviously disappointing. Kyren 10, below his projections. And then Zay Flowers pretty much met his projections at 14. So yeah, after that, going into the Sunday night game, it was looking pretty 50-50. Obviously, I'm going in with Ferguson and Javonte Williams. And by the way, I should mention in that game with the Rams, I think the Rams had a 4th and 3 at a key moment in the game at the goal line, or like at the they're about like the 10-yard line or so, maybe at 7 or 8, and Puka catches it en route, goes in for a touchdown on 4th and 3. So he was already having a monster game, and that just put it over the top. So I think Keith's frustration was mounting heading into the Sunday night game. Obviously, he had Josh Jacobs going. I had Javonte Williams and Jake Ferguson going. All 3 of those players have been solid fantasy players this year. So we knew we could be in for something. Cowboys playing a lot of high-scoring games. And this game didn't disappoint. First half, Packers get to the 1-yard line. Fade route, Romeo Doubs, touchdown. He's very frustrated. Hey, I understand. 1-yard line, why not give it to your all-pro bruising running back to run it in for an easy touchdown? Instead, they decide to go fade route. Dobbs comes down with it. Packers up 7-0. Second time, Packers are in scoring position. They get down to the 1. They don't give it to Jacobs again. Romeo Doubs. Quick slant. Where art thou, Romeo? In the end zone. So the frustration is mounting. It's starting to mount. The water, if Keith is the water on a stove, it is reaching its boiling point. Not there yet, but we're definitely getting close to reaching it. We go to halftime. At the time, Josh Jacobs, he's having a better game than my guys, even though he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. Javonte Williams and Ferguson both pretty quiet in the first half. I was not expecting at that point, I was probably expecting to lose. We got to remember Keith also still has Garrett Wilson going tomorrow. So it wasn't looking great for me. Especially then was looking even worse when Packers come out in the second half. Their first touchdown is the second half is a Josh Jacobs rushing touchdown. I think at that point the matchup became about we became about even in points on the matchup, and then I really was feeling like, oh man, like I'm gonna need some magic here, or Keith's gonna come out with an easy win. Because obviously still with Garrett Wilson going tomorrow, he's just gonna need a few points there. But there was some foreshadowing. Keith was saying that it didn't matter that Josh Jacobs scored because one of my guys was going to come down and get some points or something, and that they did. So Cowboys come down the field. We get a steady dosage of Javonte Williams and Ferguson, and it ends in a Ferguson touchdown from Prescott, and I'm out to a sizable lead again. It's not looking great for Keith. He did not like the Ferguson touchdown. I posted Fergalicious in the chat. But hey, Packers get the ball back. What do? They drive down, they score, and who scores? Josh Jacobs again. So, second half, we've gone Josh Jacobs touchdown, Ferguson right back touchdown, Josh Jacobs right back touchdown. So, it's getting a little crazy. Obviously, Josh Jacobs scores that touchdown. Things are looking good for Keith again. Looking like he's going to have an easy win. But Cowboys do have the ball back. And they're driving down the field. Oh man. Just reviewing the chat now. And here's some quotes from Keith. After the Josh Jacobs first touchdown. Trust me, it is far from over. The Cowboys literally only give the ball to Williams, Ferguson, and Pickens. He was pretty accurate. Tolbert had some catches too, but other than that, pretty accurate. LOL, so annoying how it took an entire touchdown and a bunch of runs to just tie you. And after 3 runs and 2 catches, you're back to being ahead by 5 and probably going to score a touchdown. That was right before the Ferguson touchdown. And there it is. I hate fantasy football. That's a key star quote. I'm going to put my fist through a freaking wall. I'm so pissed right now. Also a key star quote. Wow. Okay. We went silent for a little bit, and then came the second Jacobs touchdown. And I said, oh boy, need Fergie to answer. Hoping Ferguson would come down, maybe get some catches, maybe another tud. Well, Keith, don't worry. Javonte is about to. Freaking Packers defense is butthole. And right after that, Javonte nearly ran it in from about 15 yards out. But then he gets another run, gets down on the 1, and then they line up in a wildcat, and he runs it in for a touchdown. Wow. So we just went from no one scoring touchdowns to Jacobs, Ferguson, Jacobs, Javonte Williams. The matchup just became more epic as the night progressed. Some reactions. After that Javonte touchdown from Keith. F this is such BS, dude. Sorry, we don't cuss in this podcast. I can't catch a effing break. I'm so sick of this BS league. And yeah, it wasn't looking good. We tried to get Jeff's response. I added Jeff, no response. Big Joe chimed in. Ban him, Jeff, was what he had to say. BK offered to pay to take over Keith's team. We're getting some reactions on how crazy the matchup is going, and then eventually Keith's not liking it. Please just shut up, all of you. I'm not in the mood. And eventually we get to Keith Starr left the group. Ooh, that's tough. Tough look. I mean, that's a tough look for Keith. Let's not forget there was a little bit more to the game, but not huge points afterwards from any of the guys involved. The Javonte Williams touchdown was the last big scoring play. I think Jacobs might have gotten like a 3-point catch and run a little bit later. So that was still a good one for Keith. I might have gotten a few more rushing yards for Williams too. But yeah, big reaction to Keith leaving the chat. He was upset. I mean, understandably so. That was he's been the most unlucky guy in the league so far. That is a fact. And this was a dramatic. This has been. It's not over yet. And Keith still has a very good chance to win. I mean, he is actually. If I go back to Sleeper is actually still projecting him to win the matchup. So right now, I'm at 153.18. No more players left. He's at 139.86. He projected 154.59, slightly more than me. Sleeper says 55% chance he wins. Garrett Wilson's projected 14.73 points tomorrow against the Dolphins. Dolphins have been pretty sad this year. Gotta imagine the Jets are gonna put up some points. And Garrett Wilson is their best receiver by far. So I think Keith still has a really good chance of pulling it off. I think he probably still wins the matchup, but very dramatic. It is tough to see a big afternoon comeback like that, and then the Sunday night back and forth. It was definitely playing with emotions. If you're gonna live and die on every touchdown, I can understand. Why you may be a little bit upset, but hey, we're having fun here. It's for fun. It's fantasy football. I mean, yeah, there might be a little change involved, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Should Keith face some sort of punishment for his reaction? Ben did remind us that Jeff had a old message saying that to not threaten to quit the league, or else there would be some punishment there. I'm not even I'm higher on Keith's team now. Obviously, I've said that, and I love the guy. I mean, he made us a great intro. So this is not me trying to attack Keith, but I feel like it did need to be discussed. There's just a lot going on, a lot to unpack in this matchup. I'm going to try to pull up exactly what it was that Ben had reposted from what Jeff had said. Sorry, I'm looking. Well, by the way, it's 10:19 p.m. Still have not heard from Jeff. And by the way, the end of that game, also nuts, goes to overtime. Cowboys get down at like the 4-yard line. Crazy throw, crazy catch from Prescott to Tolbert. They end up having to kick a field goal still instead of getting a touchdown. Packers come back down, get in a field goal range, and then they kind of just take their sweet time and then have a couple bad plays, and all of a sudden, well, I guess they got to kick a field goal for a tie, which they were insanely lucky to be able to do that because I don't know what happened with Jordan Love there, but he must have, I don't know, lost track of the clock or something, but they got lucky that that ball, that incomplete pass, hits the ground with 1 second left. So they get out of there with a tie. And now I hope Keith and I tie tomorrow. I think it would only be fitting. I don't know what happens in the event of a tie in this league. I'm guessing it's just like the NFL, and I would just go to 3-0-1, and Keith goes to 0-3-1. That'd be pretty hilarious. But man, I can't seem to pull it up. Don't forget Jeff's punishment for quitting the league. Man, I don't know why I can't pull it up, but it's somewhere in here. It's somewhere in here. Well, maybe I could go through all these pinned messages. Sorry guys, this is not great podcasting. This is not great podcasting. Man, this is I think I'm not gonna find it. I think I'm not gonna find it. Well, that's alright. That's alright. I just realized 10:05 p.m. Brent Starr invited Keith Starr. So Brent's inviting him back to the chat. Alright, well, so it all comes down to tomorrow night for me and Keith. It all comes down to Garrett Wilson. So yeah, this whole blow up, Keith, could have been for nothing. Garrett Wilson could easily get the 14 point whatever points it is to win that matchup for you. Personally, I think he does it. Either way, I think it was an epic match between Keith and I, probably the matchup of the season, and just happened to have players on teams who played in maybe the NFL's most epic game of the year. It ended in a tie. And hey, I love how passionate Keith is about fantasy football. I hope he keeps that same passion because I love fantasy football too. I'm passionate about it. I don't like losing either. So I can't fault the man too much for how he's reacting. It was a wild up and down game, and a roller coaster of a game can make you have roller coaster of emotions. So yeah, we'll see what Jeff has to say about it. Need to get the commission's response. Hopefully Joe and I can podcast again soon, and we'll not only talk about, we'll probably readdress this drama, and then talk about maybe what the other games that happened in this week 4, and give you a little preview for week 5. But yeah, just needed to get on here and get a reaction out after the craziness of tonight. I hope I didn't forget anything. My goal was just to paint a picture of the past and today, the matchup from the afternoon into the evening. And it's been a wild day. It's been a wild day. It's been a wild season. Keith's team definitely trending up. Even if he ends up going at 1-4, I think he's a playoff team. And that means I think someone's fallen out of the playoffs because Keith's coming. He's not going to be unlucky this whole season. He's going to start winning some games. He's got a solid team. Brent, I think, might end up getting 12th place. At least at the end of the regular season. He might pull off a miracle win in the bottom 4 toilet bowl. Or maybe he pulls off a great trade and he gets himself out of that 12th place hole. You never know. That's the great thing about this league. You can pull off some trades. But man, if Keith's gonna start turning around, that's not good for Fonzie. That's not good for Leighton. He's struggling a little bit this year. And man, who else isn't it good for? Dare I say, Kamish? Jeff? Is Jeff gonna finish in 9th place? Steven? Steven's team scored great today. I think he got like 146 points, but he ran into a buzzsaw. Big week for Joe. Joe is the running back master of the league. He's got great running backs, and his running backs came through for him today. I think Joe's right now projected to score like 160 something points. So he is down 4 to Steven right now, but he's projected like 30 more points. Let's just see for fun who he has left. He still has Bo Nix. He's a believer. You still a believer? You still a believer, Joe? You still a believer? Let's see, Bo Nix. I don't think he's been that great of a fantasy quarterback this year. He's number 21 right now in fantasy scoring for quarterbacks, but I think that's counting guys who have already played 4 games, so not quite as bad as 21, but he hasn't been as good as Mahomes, who Joe let go for a haul, but hey. Yeah, so Joe's got Bo Nix going and Tyreek Hill tomorrow. He only needs 9 points. That's Joe's going to win that one. Steven, 146 point effort, but unfortunately he's going to fall to 1-3, so that's tough. You got to get those wins when you're scoring big points like that, and you're battling at the bottom of the table. You got to get those wins. So a little bit of bad luck for Steven. He just happened to run into one of the best teams of the week. Man, I don't know. Jeff, gonna hope to crack 100 this week. Kamish, AJ Brown, McConkey. Oh wait, did he get rid of McConkey? Yeah, he did. That's right, he did. He had the trade that I said was a frustration trade. All right, you know what? We're gonna save this stuff for future podcasts. Tonight was just a reaction video to the craziness of the night. Hope I explained everything well to everybody. Keith, I hope you're back in the group chat for tomorrow night, and we can enjoy a nice dramatic finish tomorrow. See if Garrett Wilson gets some big catches, maybe gets a touchdown. If he does, hey, you're probably getting a win. Thanks for tuning in to this quick reaction episode. It's been fun. Have a good night, boys.